covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Welcome in, fans of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast. It is Friday, everybody, which means we have our final walkthrough here on Inside the Walls. Yes, our first edition of our preview series of episodes for the National Arena League on, of course, the official National Arena League podcast. Myself in studio alongside my good buddy, pal, and co-host, at least alongside me somewhat, Jim Mernier. Jim, it's now Friday. You know, we got the earlier rewind on Wednesday that we got going. You know, we had that discussion with Coach Resinalo and company. Here we are. Week 3 is just on our doorstep. 2 games this week. Huh? A little less action, you know, of course, with 6 teams. We got to balance out how we divvy things up. It's a little less of the mix and match, but still 2 games that we can sit back, relax, and enjoy the throw ride arena style. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's Friday. What do you expect? Football's tomorrow. 2 action games. Check your local listings or YouTube listings.
Right.
Carolina and Jacksonville, Orlando and Albany showdown in week 3 action of the NAL. And it's going to be some intriguing matches. 2 teams not playing this week, San Antonio and the Columbus Lions. They get a chance to, rethink things and get ready for their games next week.
Right. Well, let's get into some picks here, or at least recapping things. We're gonna get into our preview of the games here later on in this episode, but we want to catch up. Look, you and I are going to be competing for picks throughout the entire season, so we're recapping. Really checking my scorecard here for last week. The only thing we really missed on was that Sharks game by 1 point, or really 2, I guess, for the win. Let's be frank, but still, just came up a tad short.
Yeah, we got Castronova.
You mean Castro?
Yeah.
Got Castro to blame. Darn you, communists.
Oh yeah. We're 3-3 so far in the season, and hey, we're in the middle of the pack. So if you're betting money for these games, don't trust us. I don't even think there's betting money for these games. So
you can probably find it, just not officially. That's all I can tell you.
Like, I need 20 on this. Mum's word. It's pick'em is what it is, and we only got 2 pick'ems to do this week, and 3-3 and 500. It's good. It's basically how we were last year. We were 500 throughout the season towards probably the end of the year. But when you have 6 teams, 3 games max a week, you're going to have situations where you're going to be butting heads. And I think we're going to be pretty accurate, similar to this week's results of games too. So. We do have a pick'em with some friends of us, the National Arena League community, and surprisingly, we're all average. We're all, there's like one guy that's 4-5-1, the other guy is 1-5, everyone else is 3-3.
That's right. And hey, if you want to get involved with that action, along with talking with some dedicated fans of the NAL, join our Discord server, Inside the Walls. We're going to bring it in the link in the description of our video releases. So if you're listening on the podcast, head over to our YouTube page, subscribe, by the way, to that YouTube page, and then go to that video, click on the link, and check out and talk with us, even do Sunday night discussions with Jim himself on the league, get some recaps, talk with fans about how the league's going, interaction. We're very much want to be open and talk with you, see how the fans talk about this league, because it matters just as much, especially since we talk and report back to folks in the NAL themselves. We want to be able to give that feedback and relay what we think and what you think at the same time. But seriously, join the Discord. It's a great discussion piece, and you get to do some picking with us too every week. So we're going to give you those picks in just a second. Another thing we got to do with these episodes that we're recapping is taking a look at the power rankings, Jim. Let's see here. So if you are seeing this on our YouTube page right now, you're going to see a nice power rankings slide right in the middle, just like our last one that we have. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it'll be on the screen. It's going to be somewhere. Like it's there. You'll see like our magic. Up and down arrows. Magic. Now, Jim earlier this week teased that he has a bit of a change might at least have a bit of a change to his. I'll be frank with you. I'll still go through mine. But it's pretty, I would say it's somewhat anticlimactic, but we'll hold that until we go through. So we'll just, as we did last time, start from the bottom here. Me, Still got San Antonio. Better effort, like I said on Wednesday. Still 0-2. It'd be hard for me to move them up one spot. Now, Jim is hinting that this might be the change. So, are you changing the 6 for yourself?
Am I changing the 6? My number 6 pick of the National Arena League Power Ranking Draft is the Orlando Predators.
Oh, he did it. He moved them down.
I have them at number 6 based off of their poor performance, or actually based off their last 6 quarters.
Okay.
They just overall, yes, they got the win in week 1, but over the last 6 quarters, they just, I don't know what's going. After that halftime in week 1, they are completely a different team. Yes, at 6, I have Orlando for this week, unfortunately. So get the parades ready in the Alamo. You're not 6 ranked anywhere on my side of the power rankings, but number 5. Well, you can tell you can pull back the parade. I got San Antonio at number 5.
A little up, just not too far.
Yeah, a little up, because they have a better body of work over the last week's game against Columbus. They much improved. They look more organized, and Robert Kent really influenced me to even Khalid Rashad and Brooks, a couple of guys on that roster that really like, they got something going in San Antonio. So why not a little 11? You're at there number 5 in my power ranking.
Yeah, overall, I mean, as we said on Wednesday, it's a good way to. I mean, they go into this 2-week bye for them with a lot of time to prepare and get that matchup against the Cobras later on down the line.
Gonna need
it. Just being honest, And look, my 5 it's the same as last week. It's the Predators. I just look, they beat the Gunslingers. They'll have a matchup later in the year, and credit, I think I'm going to keep evaluating them as they go. Now, if I see another dud this week, now they get Albany, which, as we saw last week, Albany, even with Mr. Castronova back there, it's a loaded squad. So they get another chance to go against one of the top tier talents in this league, see if they can make some adjustments and see if Rakeem Cato can just stay in the pocket a little longer and not panic as much scrambling around like I talked about on Wednesday. So keep that in mind. But I have them at 5 still, and mostly it's just defensive. So I think that the first half of that contest up until like the last 7 minutes in Carolina, I was like, this is what I expect from Orlando. They just need to calm down on the offensive side of the ball and get some things organized. But we'll see. This week might be another step. We'll find out what Jeff Higgins has in store. I can't move him down to 6 just yet, but I am monitoring it very closely is what I can tell you. Because Robert Kent, Kalia, I mean, what can I say? That unit is scrappy over in San Antonio. Number 4 for me, Jacksonville stays right there for myself, even though it was another overtime loss. They're going to stay right there because I need some more consistency from that QB, as we talked.
On Wednesday, yeah.
I know it's going to be a repeating thing. Look, as we've previously discussed, we need to see some more checkdowns, less of chucking it up for prayers. This unit is very much well built. It has talented stars in the Iron Man game. Just got to finish, and you got to find a way to be more efficient when you finish the game as well. I can't move them up into the top 3 yet, simply because I need to see a more consistent Sharks unit that gets its first W. I don't know if that'll be this week, but it needs to get its first W and at least needs to show that it can stay the course throughout all 60 minutes.
Not my number 4 is moved up from number 5 last week, and that is the Jacksonville Sharks. 0-2, same sentiments as you. They've lost 2 overtime games. Kind of hard that they're 2 plays away being 2-0 and tied for the top team in the league. I have them number 4 because I see signs in the Sharks team that they're maybe 1 player away or 1 completion away of being a really damn good team this year. And I've said that this whole offseason. I have them at number 4, even at 0-2. And if let's just say the Sharks and Predators played each other right now, especially if it was this weekend, it's this Saturday, Sharks would, I think, take care of them. I think they're a better team right now. That could change in a couple of weeks. Again, these are power rankings. These don't mean a damn thing. You still have to make the playoffs. But yeah, same as you. Stop it with the check downs. Stop doing chucks down the field and do check downs. Correct yourself. Thank you.
But
But yeah, number 4 is the Jacksonville Sharks for me. My number 3 might surprise you. Columbus Lions. I got them number 3. The only reason why is because the reason why I had Albany at number 3 last week is because the question mark at the quarterback position. Now that I see the quarterback position in Albany, that answered my question. They have a better quarterback than Columbus right now. And that's the difference between that two. I just gave up my number 2, but still. I got number 3 as Columbus right now. 2-0, still a good team. Jason Gibson and his way, they're going to be consistent. They're enjoying the week off, and they're going to watch everyone else. The other 4 teams in the league beat each other up. So number 3 is Columbus for me.
Well, then you and I are going to be getting discussion and questions about that from a specific gentleman in Columbus, because I also put the Lions down a spot this week from my rankings prior. Similar
not the
deal.
only one.
And I know previous show earlier, I specified that, yeah, I think that it was more the Gunslingers playing up to their talent. That still was a scare. And Darren Daniel, I need to see another week where you got to calm yourself down, get back to where you were week 1. Because, again, any arena team, QBs are even more that much more important on a consistent level of play. And you want to show that you're going to be able to keep up. I see that the Lions, in terms of Iron Man built rosters, they have it. My thing is that I saw a bit of a jittery unit against the Gunslingers last week. The Empire, at least, and I'll spoil it too, they're my number 2. And I'll go up with that way. Reason being, there's a lot more talent there that can overpower. I think they can run away from the Lions, I think, in a matchup right now. Could be wrong. I want to see that proven wrong. Again, the Empire did go 3-0 against the Lions last year. Different squad, but still, just keep that in mind. The Lions are going to be a little chippier that first matchup. It is kind of a pseudo rivalry from last year. But right now, that talent overall in Albany puts me setting them at number 2. And mainly because they lost to the number 1 team. I mean, really at this point, unless Jim already spoiled this too. So like, we already know who's number 1, and Albany lost to that number 1. Because let's face it. And I'll give Jim reasons for 2 here, but we'll face the music here in a second.
Reason for 2 for me right now, it's the question that after week 1 is who's the quarterback? Because we knew about the Faithful situation, and Castronova came in. Jacksonville impressed me, and the other receivers on that team, Grant, Dangerfield, Hollis /DB, and Darius Prince really showed out. They have, in my opinion, a team that they ran out of time against Carolina. They lost by 8, and they come down Jacksonville and really showed me that they can win with any quarterback back there. But Castronova showed me a side of him that I didn't see last year in Carolina that really made me go, they got the guy. And if Faithful does decide to pop back up in Albany, they have 2 damn good quarterbacks. I got them at number 2. That just tells you that you're telling me that the number 2 power rank team, the number 4 power rank team in my rankings is 1 point difference. Yes. Even though Columbus is 3, I think the top 4 pretty heavy. And it's just going to determine who will want to beat those bottom tier teams that want to make that push to the top 4. Right now, based on the trend, it's San Antonio. But Orlando could fix it up. Still a lot more time to go before we even start thinking about postseason jockeying for position. My number 1, and I think your number 1, well, it is the same team, the Carolina Cobras.
Right.
I'm just going to say the reason why they're number 1 is Coach Rezanala this offseason pointed out that they were going to get the best team they can assemble in Carolina. And so far, Jonathan Bain has not disappointed. Secretly, the MVP of the team is Zach Brown. Had a hell of a week last week against the Orlando Predators. DJ Myers, Kendrick Ings, James Summers, Joe Powell. The whole team is loaded, and they look like they are the team to beat. And right now, the path to the NAL championship may go through Greensboro. That's why after week 3's power ranking, or week 2 power ranking, I have the Carolina Cobras at number 1.
Yeah, can we point out this is something we missed earlier to talk about with the rewind? Joe Powell proposed during that game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I feel terrible for not saying that earlier. Congrats to you and your fiance now. Really, that was an awesome moment to see in at least during the broadcast. So great to hear it.
Also, he was on your other podcast a couple of months ago, the Gridiron Gallery, with discussions about him in the CFL and the XFL St. Louis Battlehawks. So if you want to catch that, look on the Gridiron Gallery, Legend Jones, Zach Collins show. He has a lot of players that he's already interviewed that play in the NAL. Peterson, Powell. There's a couple other great guys too. So go check it out. Gridiron Gallery. Good interview with Joe Powell.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And look, again, congrats to Joe. Like that was a cool moment. We feel bad for not saying that earlier this week. But awesome for him. But he is one of the many talents that's on this Cobras roster. As Jim pointed out, I'll say it again, and Coach Rez basically took what he did last year. He said, I'm going to sign on some good players, make a playoff roster. And I'm just going to take that philosophy and I'm going to bring it into next season the same way. No stops, nothing held back. They put together what on paper we were going, this could be a scary like dark horse for the championship right now. And credit, it's only 2 weeks going into week 3. Things can change, but right now, at least you look what they did to Albany. And really the end of that differential in score didn't tell the whole story week 1. You look at week 2 and how they essentially dismantled Orlando systematically end of second quarter all the way through the end of that game. It was not close. Once they got out to 20-point lead, they had it in the bag. They coasted. There is that much talent, and it's good two-way talent too. Guys that we thought would be more one-way stars like Kendrick Ings and DJ Myers, they are making impacts on that side of the ball. Obviously, you got guys Zach Brown, who, by the way, caught and ran in a touchdown last week and also had multiple tackles. Dude is making the case for being one of the star Ironmen in this league, someone that we thought would be a good Ironman player and is showing up for it because he was a star Sharks player for years. Now he's getting his chance to do it 2 ways and showing just why he was making his impact back at Jacksonville. Now with the sister team here in Carolina, they're tops for a reason, guys. They put together a roster that is showing that it is the good mix of what you want for what the NAL wants to be in years ahead, but also what it's bringing from just being raw talented people that are coming in and making an impact on all phases of the game. The only one that really hasn't that, I've been kind of surprised. I'll say this just because I think we talked about the ball being weird this year. It seems like TC Stevens. That's the only one I'm like, maybe we hope that he gets a little bit corrected. But beyond that, I mean, they've just been able to outscore people and do what they want on both sides of the ball. So no contest here. And
technically they put away both their opponents early. Even though the Albany game was only an 8-point game, that game was almost out of reach.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Midway through the fourth quarter.
They were up 20 on Albany they're essentially up 3 scores on Albany week 1 going mid fourth quarter. Albany just came and rallied back to make it close. Again, they've been having their way with teams so far. They're definitely the number 1 right now. They're scary. Jonathan Bain is back on his normal, I'm just going to rip defenses apart level, championship caliber type of stuff. So keep your eyes on them. Unless something severe happens, you see a chain reaction. These guys aren't going away right now.
Oh yeah. And honestly, let me go to the trusty schedule here. Let me get the dates right. I don't want to misconstrued anything, but a game that I'm now really intrigued by is not just the rematch in week 7 between the Cobras and Empire, but also the week 9 matchup when the Empire go to Carolina.
Yeah.
And if Castronova is still the starting quarterback, a little bit of a revenge factor from last season. Because last year, I think me and Zach joked about during the off season is that we thought that these owners / coaches listened to us on our show, and basically we had our own fantasy football teams that we didn't know we had.
Right. Carolina was definitely one of those.
It was actually acknowledged to us too. Reginald did say that last year. You look at the first couple of weeks of Carolina last year, they couldn't get out of their own way. Turnovers after turnovers, injuries, they backed themselves into a corner. They made a lot of adjustments.
Sam running for his life. He didn't have really any protection.
The offensive line couldn't block. He was trying to do everything on his feet, throwing in double, triple coverage sometime, trying to save his life. But halfway through the season, something switched, organization changed. And since that point, I think it's halftime against Jacksonville in week 5, where they almost won on the last play of the game. Since then, the Carolina Cobras are a completely different organization. And one offseason later, just based off 2 weeks, they're championship contenders. And based on what I've seen in Jacksonville with Albany, I think Albany could be that team against them. But honestly, just based on watching, I think it's a 3-horse race to who's that number 2 team between Jacksonville, Columbus, and Albany to face Carolina. Right now, it's Carolina, the muck, then the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those teams in the bottom is slowly making their way back into the muck, which if you're in the muck, that means you're in the zone. It means you're going – so there's going to have to be 4 teams to get into the playoffs. So only 2 miss. You're in the muck, you're in contention. I don't know why I like to give the strange terminology and those things, but I'm notorious for doing that, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, the
middle, you got the top tier, you got the muck, and you get the bottom tier.
The mid pack, as we talked last year with like that whole, because it's 6 teams, you're going to have that middle pack fighting for just those bottom 2 spots. Probably what's going to happen at the end of the season.
Well, the problem is last year you had the top tier was Columbus and Albany. The muck was just Orlando, and the bottom tier was Jersey, Carolina, and Jacksonville trying to get this.
Some damn team was going to get in.
It came down to a weird tiebreaker situation last year by point differential got the team in. So everyone was like, okay, if Jacksonville wins, they're in. But if they lose and Orlando loses by this amount of points, Carolina's in. But if Jersey scores this amount of points, Jersey's in. But it was it was a definition of the muck last year, and that was the chase from the 4th seed in the NAL when you only had 8 games to play. Hopefully this year you don't have to deal with it, especially with basically you're having 2 seasons now with a 14-week season.
Right. Those Albany games I will be looking out for, quite frankly. Hey, Empire's got to adjust their defense, got to play a cleaner game, and it'll be a different roster too. But we'll see that later this season. Right now, Carolina, as we jump in, of course, to what we got to preview here, we got 2 games. Carolina Cobras get to bring in, as I've mentioned now several times in this week's slate of shows, their sister team, Jacksonville Sharks, essentially sister team. We're just gonna call it that, unofficial. Why not? They get to get the 2nd week hosting in the Snake Pit. The Sharks come in. Look, they just need. They probably are like, we got to go play them now, and we had 2 straight OT games. Oh man. All right, well, here goes nothing. Anyway, they come in and basically get to stare into the face of several great Sharks players playing on the opposite side in the black, silver, and gray. I'm just saying, Jim knows. He knows exactly what's going on.
Just rubbing the salt, man. Just rubbing the salt.
Jonathan Bain, Zach Brown. These people will make an impact. Now they got to play Jacksonville. And it's in the Snake Pit.
Yeah, it's a unique situation. It's kind of Jacksonville's second rival in the NAL. I know Orlando's history. That's not a rivalry yet. It's an old AFL rival. We hopefully gets it back into the NAL stage. But
right.
Carolina came in 2018 as an expansion franchise. They won those rare things, won the whole dang thing in the first year. Smacked Jacksonville around a couple times. The series between these 2 teams is interesting. No one really has a dominant home field advantage between the 2 teams. And overall, Jacksonville leads the series by 1 game. That tells you how close this series has been. Both teams have won championships, Carolina 18 and Jacksonville 19. Odd with players that are currently on Carolina's team, with Jonathan Bain and Zach Brown. It's a unique game. One thing I do like about Carolina, it's nothing about their team. It's the venue. Greensboro Arena, the field, that's a full 50-yard field. It's nice. So the fans out there in Greensboro, go pack the dome, the Coliseum, not the dome. Excuse me.
Yes.
Go pack the Coliseum this weekend. It's going to be a good, intriguing game. And I'm just going to say, based on what I've seen the last 2 weeks of the Jacksonville Sharks, I'm not counting the Sharks out of this. They've shown me
3 OT games in a row, Jim.
Oh my God. If we got to do a bet here, if it goes to a 3rd overtime, I might go bold. I don't know. I got to do something.
Well, I mean, that means I have to do something in return then. If I think that's,
I don't think that's ever happened before. 3 straight overtime games in an arena game.
I would have to go back post show and do the archives because I can't tell you. Look, I'm the newest one here that's into the arena side. So like, to asking me if that's happened,
You know who we need to
I would
ask?
definitely have to do some research.
We need to go ask Duncan Williams. He is the archive of arena football.
Yes,
He'll know.
Definitely.
Describe
himself.
I don't think it's going to be. What are the odds that would be a 3 overtime game?
I have high doubts that that's happened, but I could be wrong. But look, Jacksonville, they've played up to their opponents last 2 weeks. They've made it work. Anything's possible. They're
going to have to pull off a win here somehow because the first 6 weeks are just a gauntlet for Jacksonville.
Well, and as you've said, like
Columbus, next week's Columbus, the week after that's Albany again. Like, gee, no, it's Carolina, then Albany again. Like, just stab me again, stab me more, hit me with a brick. Like, who's hitting me with bricks? It's Castro. There I am. But it's a tough stretch for Jackson, but I think their schedule, in my opinion, gets easier in the second half, more home games. I'm not calling an overtime game. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, yeah. It's just we already can tell by these both two teams right now the uniqueness of both teams right now. Jacksonville seems like they are a better, even with kind of lesser talent, they're a better Ironman team. Carolina and Albany, we've stated from the beginning, better rosters. Can it come down to the obvious question? Quarterback play? Who plays the better game? Okay, it's going to be actually like a highlight that pops up that here is the goals that need to happen for these teams to win. Whoever throws the most chuck down routes wins. Check down routes, not chuck down. Check
Whoever
down
doesn't
routes.
Just want to throw for heaves every other play.
The hard thing about looking at Carolina is when I watch these Carolina games, I'm seeing Jacksonville 2019. I'm seeing Jacksonville 2017. I'm seeing Jacksonville. Not because of the players or they're similar. It's just how they present themselves and how they go about themselves. Yes, Zach, you make it fun like the sister team Carolina is.
They are.
Because they are. Because the owner of the Storm, Mr. Storm, it was once upon a time associate with the Jacksonville Sharks. So, yes, it's familiarity. Sometimes I'm not bashing Carolina. To win the championship, you might have to copy some blueprints to do that. And they got Bain, they got Zach Brown, and they also got Meeshawn Robinson. Can't forget him. He was a beast back in the day for the Sharks. Pitbull, I don't think he has his nickname anymore. But this game, I think, is the game of the week. I'm not bashing guys down in Orlando. I just think that this game, even though Jackson's 0-2, Carolina's 2-0, I think these two teams are more even than Albany and Orlando at the moment. But as a fan, I really want to see what Jackson does. Can Malik Henry read the secondary route, never go deep, make that defense think, make DJ Myers think, make Powell think, make Meeshawn think. Don't think that every play is going to be a post, a corner route, every single play. Because there's times last week I saw Devin Wilson run 40 yards down the field, just ran just a straight route. Like, oh, okay, go route, just go. I'm going to chuck it to you. While there's Rob Jones up down the middle, Naquan Murray up in the middle, McGee up in the middle, wide open. I think if Jacksonville fixes those and still plays like they did the last 2 weeks, this game is going to be who has the ball first type of mentality. I think Jacksonville, Coach Burley, how Jacksonville has played these last 2, has built already that it's not – eventually it's going to be a winning mentality, but it's that mentality like no matter what the score is, we're still going to win this game or we're still be in this game. They choked the lead in week 1, but they gained it back in week 2. This is the type of game where I'm not going to bash it. You're not going to be in a friendly – it's not going to be hostile, but you're not going to be in a friendly confine. There's going to be some fans there going to make some noise. For Jacksonville, for Henry, I think the atmosphere in Carolina is just – it's not going to be as bad as it was in Columbus, but I think you can navigate through. And for Jacksonville, in my opinion, take Carolina's crowd out of the game. Don't make the mistakes you did against Columbus in the second half, and this will be a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. And possibly if the kicking game does come alive this weekend, let's get some deuces. Either kicker, TC Stevens or Brandon Bear. These are the two of the better kickers in the game, in the arena game. Let's see if they can keep the ball in play when they kick off too. So
Right.
Special teams is going to be key. And what I've noticed from Jacksonville, Rob Jones getting the ball in the backfield or from kickoffs, or Naquan Murray, they're pretty explosive. They almost one couple times break it for a touchdown. And same with the Carolina Cobras. They have a couple guys that they were putting back there. They're rotating last week, and James Summers was back there. They have a squad. For me, I love them. For my team, I got to go Carolina. Close one. But I don't think this is going to be a blowout. This is I'm going to say it. Carolina is going to squeeze out a victory in this one. I think Jacksonville goes up there and gives them a better game than Albany, and of course against Orlando. Jackson will start 0-3, I think. Yeah, 0-3 for the first time ever as a franchise. I think it's going to be a close game. Get me Carolina 64-61.
You think it's going to be that high scoring? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm actually taking the opposite approach. I think it's going to be a little more defensive. That's just me. I think just because you have two squads, I think, that know each other pretty well, or there's so much bleed through of these Sharks players or current Sharks players. And I mean, Coach Burley knows many of the tendencies of some of these guys too.
Because he coached them.
Right, and these two teams have, since the Cobras have joined in the league, they've had a history. They kind of fight to the bitter end. Last year was definitely like close, lower-ish scoring games throughout. I think that trend continues, honestly. And I think that, it's going to be really who gets just the best of what is given to them in front of them. So Malik Henry almost, I think, will be forced into less chuck it downfield, more, okay, I guess I'll do dump off passes and see what, Jones can do, or what Murray can do, or what, of course, Wilson can do with that. Although Wilson probably will still be going deep, but I digress. Nonetheless, though, I think Carolina does etch this out as well. I'm thinking more of a 51-46 score myself. You're going to see one crack the 50 mark, but it's going to be tight throughout. Jacksonville's coached pretty well. They just have come up short. It's going to be another one that's that case. Unless there's a change, Malik Henry's there, and he's going to have to learn quickly after 2 weeks now being in the NAL. You need to take what's available sometimes. Might be another learning week. If he makes those adjustments, we might be talking about a different game, because they do have the tools, I think, to take Carolina on in some facets, but you're going to have to hope that gets a bit of a change, and you're going to have to hope that Carolina's a little off their A game. Maybe you see the Jonathan Bain that throws 1 or 2 interceptions and kind of gets a little risque on some of those passes, as you have brought up in the past, because so far through this year, sans maybe at least 1 or 2 passes in Albany, he's really been smooth throughout this entire process yet. So haven't seen anything where he's gone off the rails fully. Don't know if that's this week, but there are possibilities. I got the Cobras here, sticking to it, sticking 3-0, still the number 1 team in the league. And speaking of course, right on their tail, we got the other option this week that you can enjoy. We have the Albany Empire still on their road kind of trip, at least on the south, at least down in South Florida, or North Florida, now going South Florida. Let me clarify that. Of course, they're going to go to the Amway Center, the Jungle, down in Orlando, taking on the Predators for their first home game of the season. Looks like tickets are selling pretty quickly, so nice to see the Jungle getting filled in more and more as we've gotten the Predators back into the fray in the NAL since they joined in 2019. As we've talked, though, the Predators, this is not a great second week in a row to have a test. I know the Empire have a leaky defense, but if the Predators do the same thing they did last week and they can't take advantage of stops, which probably won't come often, I'm not so sure this is going to be a competitive game, Jim. I ain't feeling it.
I'm getting that vibe too, a little bit. And last week's Orlando game against Carolina really showed me how when your offense goes MIA for a quarter to a quarter and a half, There's no way you're coming back from that. Yeah, Orlando, you just got done playing DJ Myers, James Summers, and Kendrick Eames. Oh, yeah. The receiving core you're going up against now, it's no slouch. It's just Grant, France, and Dangerfield. So I'm just saying, this is no
Dwayne
slouch,
Hollis
no slouch.
also catch,
It's hard for a team to adjust to an opponent early in the season. Problem with Orlando, they haven't adjusted to their own identity. They don't know who they are yet. And is it Cato? Is it Kagi? Is it the offensive line? Is it the receivers? They have good enough weapons in the receiving core to get going. Outlaw, Beavers, Brendan Fuentes, to name a few, with Quan Alfred as a fullback. They have weapons. One thing I noticed last week is that their offensive line, especially in the second half against San Antonio, has just been getting obliterated. Yeah. I don't know if that's stamina or the rotation of the players is pretty difficult for Orlando to do right now. I don't know what the issue is. But when you watch in Orlando, this is clear as day. You're looking at the quarterback play. It's not good. Cato is running for his life, and he's seeing ghosts. And when you start seeing ghosts as a quarterback in any level of football, it's not good. You look at the NFL, you got a couple first-round draft picks that have seen ghosts, and they're playing the theme song of Ghostbusters at your next road game. It's not good when you're seeing ghosts. The good thing for Orlando is that they're in Orlando.
Right.
I think this game is going to be a carbon copy to last year's Albany versus Orlando game. Only reason why is it's in Orlando. I think they feed off of their home crowd. They stay in the game longer than the past 2 weeks, or week one they won. But overall talent from Albany, Sam Castronova, Grant, the whole team up in Albany, even the president himself, John Lebeck, whatever, throwing them in there, Mike Corda, whoever. Albany is just up and down a better team right now. This is first, I think, of 2 matchups between the 2 teams, and the next one's up in Orlando, maybe 3 times. I got to look at the schedule again. Mm-hmm. But right now, I'm like you. I think they stay in it longer than usual, but I still see Albany winning comfortably. I just have that feel.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm looking at it too. I think you're going to see kind of somewhat a similar deal to last week against Carolina. You know, early on, you're gonna have the talents like Fuentes, Josh Jenkins, and company locking things down a little bit. They're gonna be giving Prince, Grant, Hollis or Dangerfield, whoever the heck's out there, some sort of early going trouble. Because when I say whoever's out there, because basically it is just a roster of receivers that can go out there and grab.
It's almost like an all-star roster for an arena team. Exactly. Almost for the receivers that Albany has.
It's up there. We've talked at length. It's up there.
No joke.
I can't,
because tomorrow night, me and you most likely will be watching both games on YouTube, tweeting both games, and we may go to the point and look at it, go, Orlando's down by 4 touchdowns, and they're still scoring points.
Right. Even I'll throw it out there just because he scored last week too. Give me Jimmy Goodlow as well, who had that amazing 20-yard touchdown catch that Sam spun twice, dropped it out there. I mean, hey, look, anyone can catch it out there, I guess, and just go take it to the house.
This is salt shaker when I need one. I'm like, okay, Zach, I know, rub it in the wound.
I am rubbing it in. Obviously, Tiberius Lampkin can run it in for you too. They have weapons. Eventually that's going to overwhelm the Predators. My other thing is too, and again, it's 1 week, so it's kind of hard to say that adjustments will quickly happen this way, but we've been pounding it in. And first off, start Rakeem Cato right out of the gate. Don't even mess around with doing this 2 QB thing. Yeah. I've noticed you doing that, Coach Higgins. There's probably some method to it. I don't care for it. Just pick one, go with one, and if it goes south later on, if you feel you need a spark, switch it mid-game. Don't do it early like that.
What benefits Orlando is that next 3 games are home.
That's good.
With the bye week. So the team staying in Orlando, you're going to see a much improved Orlando team in 3 weeks than you do right now.
I mean, hey, they did have to go from San Antonio all the way to the East Coast for Greensboro. So maybe that's playing into it. You get a week back at your own turf, in the jungle, which with a packed, dedicated crowd. So that's nice. But look, start Rakeem Cato, and Rakeem, chill out, read the field a little more calmly. Don't bail out of the pocket. Find your guys that are reliable targets. Look, Lonnie's going to be down there. He's going to have his hands up. He just got thrown up. He's a big frame dude. He's going to be open, even with Prince or someone covering him or Hollis. Hollis is definitely doesn't have the height on him. Maybe he's got the jump ball, but even Lonnie can get up there. We saw last year. He can get those if you just put it somewhere in that catch radius.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Or Darren Clark, drop it underneath to him. Let him be a speedster. Go cut it up the middle. Read the field. Calm down a little bit. That's a key for him, for this team. Make sure that QB position calms down, reads the pocket, slows the game a bit. Arena's a little more fast-paced and even outdoors sometimes. It's harder to do that, but you got to slow down a little bit and take some time. When you have a pocket that not always is collapsing, there are moments that it is held up well. I'm just saying.
And I meant to say Darren Clark, not Laird Beavers. My apologies. Laird Beavers is not on the roster. I apologize. They did wear the same number, by the way, from the previous installation. But yeah, I agree with you about Cato. Spend some time. You're at home. Feed off the home crowd.
That also, yes.
Fans won't be against you. You'll have your own fans. You play better in a home crowd. I guarantee you're gonna have family members in town. A lot of players in Orlando are from that area, so it'll be more friendly confines. Albany is the team where Albany's gonna go down there thinking that their shit don't stink. Excuse my language, but it's true. But they walk the walk, they talk the talk. For Orlando, the questions that you have here, it's strange that these teams are 1-1, and it seems like it's just a complete 180 between both organizations right now. Orlando, feed off your home crowd, get up early or play the similar card like you did last season. Stick with the one quarterback, outlaw the ball. And if you can't outlaw the ball, give it to Alfred. Let him run the ball, settle everything down. Then your passing game will open up. But stay in the pocket.
Or take a playbook from across the way. Maybe Fuentes gets a few more catches. I mean, take it like the Hollis route, Guy knows how to read receivers. Let's see if he's gotten some good catches already this season.
Well, but one thing we do know from Sam, from the Albany Empire, he does have a tendency he threw 2 interceptions against Jacksonville that were obvious, just forced throws. You'll get those mistakes from any quarterback in the league, but when it happens with Albany, you have to capitalize, and you can't get a turnover and go 4 and out. Basically, that was what they call in the game a dead possession. It means nothing happened. You basically we just wasted 5 minutes here with nothing happened. You have to play the possession game against San Antonio, capitalize on the turnovers. One thing about not San Antonio, excuse me, Albany. Albany doesn't really kill themselves with penalties and turnovers. They're a very good, disciplined team. That's why they won the championship last year. But when they do make the mistakes, and the reason why Jacksonville got back in the game last week is when Albany made the mistakes, Jacksonville capitalized and got back in the game. Orlando needs to do that. If they go out there and perform like they did against the first half against Carolina, against Albany, this is a 3-score game going to a 4-score game in the second half, and you can't get behind Albany, especially with that offense, because you're trying to bet that Albany's going to make multiple mistakes in the second half for you to get the momentum. And that's not going to happen. It's not a Manas team. Capitalize on their turnovers. And if you do have turnovers, trying to slow down the bleeding, honestly. Yes, you're going to give up touchdowns in this game. Hold them to a field goal or 4 and out. Trying to do something or change of possession. If the faucet starts leaking, don't make it turn to a full blast flow, because that's what happened in Carolina. You just dead drive, 4 and out, 4 and out, 4 and out. Turnover, 4 and out, and that was it. It just went downhill from there. Stop the free fall and make it a plateau. You get more in plateaus, you're in better position to beat Albany than you were against Orlando or against Carolina, because you're home.
Right.
feed off your energy. If the Jungle, from what we've seen so far with the ticket sales, it's going to be a nice crowd. And if the Jungle is what it was in 2021 last year, it's going to be a rowdy crowd. And get up on Albany early, get your fans in the game, make that place loud. Then maybe look at the scoreboard in the third quarter and go, oh, wow, we're only down by 6. Then you have a game. Get the game to the fourth quarter. If you can do that, all bets are off, because in the arena game, the fourth quarter is always madness if the game's close.
Can they do it, though, Jim? That's where the pick'em comes in, my guy.
Yeah. Praise you all this time, Orlando. I believe in you. Just not this week. I have Albany, and I'm sticking to the narrative where I think Orlando just runs out of the gas like they did against Carolina. I think Albany wins this one. I think Albany touches 60, like 61, like they did last week against Jacksonville. And I think they beat Orlando 61-47.
I also am not going to be picking the home crowd. Too many question marks for me offensively to give faith that they can even, as much as I say Albany is leaky on defense, I still don't know if they'll be able to fully take advantage of the defense being somewhat leaky at times. And plus, I think the more weeks you get under the belt with some guys that are new to Ironman, like they have been in Albany, that just gives you more time to adjust. That's me being frank. I'll do it the similar score to last year, that first matchup that they had, 55-40. The Empire will walk out of Orlando 2-1, continuing to kind of right the ship after what was a rocky week 1 start for them. So just reestablishing that, hey, week 1 was rough, but we're still one of the tops in this league. We didn't go away. So they'll probably walk out. The Jungle will be rowdy though. Like we said, we track ticket sales like crazy as much as we can, and they're packing it in. It's looking good. Amway Center is going to be pretty loud. I'm excited to see it on YouTube and watch it on the stream. Both these games, I think, at least overall for the crowd experience or just some competitive play, it should be fun. So far this season, week 1, we got it. Some bumps in the road there. Ironman getting used to that. Week 2 seemed like we got things stabilized. Looks like week 3, I think we're gonna get another week under our belt where Ironman's looking even better, which so far I'm digging it more and more as we've gone on, getting to see it in person or on TV, and more competitive play. It's gonna be a fun ride for week 3, even with just 2 games on the docket.
Wait, what? No, we do?
Yeah,
we only have 2 days.
Only
so
2.
We're not picking Columbus versus bye week, or San Antonio versus bye week.
Who wins the bye?
Yeah.
I can imagine imagining myself picking the bye. Imagine the greatest upset of all, the bye week wins.
Yeah. And I'm still mad at ESPN when they did it last year, where they roasted Jacksonville and said the bye week beat Jacksonville last year. It was either CBS or ESPN, one of those. So I was like, oh, we're not doing bye week challenge.
The only way, and this is not indicative of anything that's going on in the league, by the way. The only way the bye week wins is if the team folds during the bye week. So I'm not even. That is not happening, by the way. None of the teams in the league are in issue. So just saying, a hypothetical. The hypothetical response: the bye week wins if the team folds. That's the only way that goes down.
What's funny about that is that that's happened in this game everywhere.
Yeah.
One of our favorite teams from last year offended the Yum Center.
That's right. I went to 2 games for that said team. That's all I've got.
Bye week, the next week came back. They didn't exist anymore.
Yeah, bye week really did a number on them.
Well, the good thing is here in the National Arena League, we'll have games, and there'll be next week's games too, with a full slate next week for week 3 action.
Pretty sure the greatest shock in the world would be if either one of these teams said, the bye week got us. So long, folks. Nah, the Gunslingers got time to prepare. They got a whole month.
We'll get a text from one of the owners like, oh no. And they're like, we loved your show. Oh, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah, I mean, the Gunslingers got basically a month to get ready for their next contest going over to Carolina. So they're going to be studying like crazy. And yeah, the Lions ain't going anywhere. We kidding. You crazy?
No.
I'd be nuts to say that.
Oh, we say that, we'll definitely get a phone call and a text.
Pretty sure Jason Gibson's crew is undefeated against the bye week.
Yes.
He's like Andy Reid in the NFL, man. He'll come out bye week swinging. Over prepared.
True.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the final walkthrough of our podcast slate. Our first week of 3 episodes per week. Keep giving us feedback, because really this kind of stemmed from feedback just from folks and fans of the show. And we hope you enjoy it. Like I said, there's plenty of content now in season we could discuss, and we're glad we're divvying it up for you guys to kind of jump in and kind of get what you want out of our show for the most part. And, if you want to keep following along with the conversation, you want to see these awesome graphics that our graphics team, aka Jim Bernier here, makes for us. If you want to follow the conversation, join us on our social media at InWallsPod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, that is at InWallsPod. If you want to follow along on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, especially if you're watching this video. Subscribe and click that bell, and I'll borrow it from a podcast I'm on. It builds morale for yourself. When you hit that bell, you're going to feel good about that, and we'll feel good about that too. So thank you very much. And be sure, of course, to subscribe to your favorite podcast platform if you do too. Join our Discord as well for more conversational pieces. And until next time, folks, that's going to be about it. Week 3's here. Let's get at it. Let's enjoy some games. But before we go, remember one thing.
Don't let the bye week. Oh, wait a minute. All right. Don't be a jack out of the box.
Don't let the bye week beat you, people.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Enjoy the weekend, folks. We'll see you Wednesday.
Stay tuned.